Chiefs Kingdom, buckle up! Because Arrowhead Stadium has officially run out of room to contain all this wild news. Get ready to feel your pulse racing faster than a Mahomes bomb on 3rd and long. What's going on behind closed doors with the Kansas City Chiefs has straight up detonated across the entire NFL landscape. Every single person with a press pass is paying attention right now. Journalists, insiders, AFC rivals nursing their wounds. Everybody is trying to crack the code on what Brett Veach and Andy Reid are quietly assembling. So if you bleed red and gold, if you're the type who's already screaming Chiefs Kingdom before the opening whistle even blows, you know what to do. We track every detail, every whisper, every calculated move like the die-hard Arrowhead faithful we are. When free agency swung open its doors, a lot of fans were downright furious with the Chiefs' approach. The front office basically gave the wide receiver position the cold shoulder at the start of the market, and the NFL draft didn't exactly set the world on fire either. And honestly, that frustration wasn't coming from nowhere. The receiving corps was a genuine headache throughout the 2025 season. There were stretches where Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback walking the planet, looked like he didn't fully trust the weapons in his arsenal. Particularly when the games meant everything in those brutal final weeks. The fallout was ugly. The offense sputtered like a car running on fumes. Inconsistency became the norm rather than the exception. And for the first time in more than a decade, the Kansas City Chiefs watched the playoffs happen on television. Let that sink in for a moment. A franchise that redefined what dynasty football looks like in the modern era, sitting at home in January. It stung. It was supposed to sting. But just when the off-season gloom was starting to settle in, a name surfaced that lit the whole room back up. Insider Albert Breer from SI.com dropped the news that the Chiefs have emerged as one of the frontrunners for Stefon Diggs. Yes, that's Stefon Diggs, the electrifying receiver who was recently cut loose by the New England Patriots following their Super Bowl defeat. His exit from Foxborough was packaged as a cap-saving decision, but plenty of people around the league suspected there was more to the story. For a while, a reunion at a reduced rate seemed possible. That ship has now sailed. According to Breer, New England has shifted its full attention toward pulling off a blockbuster trade for A.J. Brown, a move that would reshape their offense in one dramatic stroke. And that pivot has flung the door wide open for other teams to swoop in on Diggs. Leading the pack? You guessed it, Kansas City. Breer suggested that a one-year deal in the neighborhood of $10 million could be enough to get this thing done. The Commanders, Falcons, and Rams are circling too, but there's one massive detail that makes the Chiefs feel like the obvious landing spot. Patrick Mahomes. Just picture it for a second. Stefon Diggs lining up alongside Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. An offense that spent much of 2025 searching for an identity suddenly looks like a fireworks show waiting to go off. Diggs wouldn't just be a nice addition. He'd immediately become Mahomes' #1 option, his security blanket, his go-to guy when the game is on the line. And we all know what happens when Mahomes has a true WR1 he believes in. The rest of the league just suffers. What makes this pairing even more compelling is that Diggs wouldn't be carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders in Kansas City. He wouldn't need to be a one-man show. He'd be stepping into a creative offensive system, throwing with a generational quarterback, and playing alongside burners who already force defenders to respect the deep ball. That kind of environment could genuinely breathe new life into his career and turn the Chiefs' offense back into the headache every defensive coordinator dreads facing. But hang on tight, because while everyone's daydreaming about offensive firepower, another story has been shaking the NFL to its core. For months, the haunting question hanging over Chiefs Kingdom was simple and terrifying. When does Patrick Mahomes actually come back? Well, Adam Schefter, one of the most plugged-in reporters in the entire sport, essentially told everyone to relax. He revealed that the NFL's decision to slot the Chiefs into Monday Night Football for Week 1 against the Denver Broncos was no accident. The league doesn't gamble with its marquee opening night matchup. Putting Kansas City in that spot means the NFL has serious, genuine confidence that Mahomes will be standing behind center when that ball is kicked off. Schefter didn't dance around it. He was blunt, direct, and pretty much let the curtain slip on just how bullish the league's insiders are feeling right now. The NFL simply doesn't hand that stage to a team they're not certain about. That statement alone sent Chiefs fans into a full-blown frenzy. And here's what makes it even better. Mahomes isn't just on track. He's ahead of schedule. Inside the organization, the mood is genuinely upbeat, not the manufactured optimism you sometimes hear from coaches trying to protect their quarterback. Andy Reid and Brett Veach have been consistent about this for months, and their confidence has only grown stronger as the weeks have ticked by. Reid recently revealed something that raised quite a few eyebrows. Mahomes may participate in voluntary OTA activities at the end of May and the start of June. A few months back, that would have sounded like wishful thinking. Now it sounds entirely plausible. For context, players recovering from serious injuries are typically kept far away from the practice field during the off-season. The standard playbook is caution, patience, and managing expectations. Mahomes doesn't seem to have gotten that memo. Number 15 is already out there throwing passes, working through movement drills, and progressing in ways that have left medical professionals and coaches genuinely impressed. Andy Reid summed it up with a phrase that sent Chiefs Kingdom absolutely haywire. He said Mahomes is essentially capable of doing practically anything at this point. When your head coach says that about a player everyone was worried about 6 months ago, you listen. Of course, the team isn't throwing caution completely out the window. Reid was clear that the recovery process has defined phases and that medical guidelines are being followed to the letter. Nobody is cutting corners with the most important player in franchise history. But the direction of travel is unmistakably positive. The Chiefs also made sure they were covered in any scenario. They brought in Justin Fields via a trade from the New York Jets to serve as Mahomes' backup. A capable, experienced option who could step in without the offense falling apart. Smart contingency planning, but honestly, the way things are trending, Fields may spend the season cheering from the sideline. Now, just when you thought the Diggs rumor was the biggest grenade of the offseason, hold your horses, because something else has the entire AFC on edge. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped a bombshell that has people around the league genuinely nervous. There is a growing belief that the Pittsburgh Steelers might be open to listening to trade offers for TJ Watt. Read that sentence again. TJ Watt, one of the most terrifying defensive players in modern NFL history. And the moment that information hit the airwaves, the Chiefs' name surfaced immediately as a potential destination. Because of course it did. This wouldn't just be a headline-grabbing move. It would be a full-blown seismic event. TJ Watt isn't merely a very good football player. He is the heartbeat of the Steelers' defense, a locker room leader, a franchise symbol, and a guy with a first-ballot Hall of Fame trajectory carved out in front of him. The idea of him wearing a different uniform feels almost surreal. But the NFL doesn't run on sentiment. It runs on roster construction and salary cap math. Pittsburgh is beginning to invest in the next wave of their defensive identity. Younger names like Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig are being positioned for bigger roles. Carrying multiple enormous contracts simultaneously is a puzzle that gets harder to solve every year. Sometimes franchises have to make brutal decisions. The Chiefs are operating in permanent win-now mode for as long as Mahomes is in his prime. There's no 5-year plan being developed in the background. There's no, let's see how the rebuild goes. Every off-season decision is built around maximizing this championship window right now. While number 15 is at the absolute peak of his powers, And adding TJ Watt to a defense already anchored by Steve Spagnuolo? That's almost unfair to think about. Imagine the pressure coming from every angle. Watt hunting from one edge, George Karlaftis exploding off the other side, Chris Jones, who already has offensive coordinators losing sleep and pulling double coverage schemes on him, destroying everything happening inside. Any quarterback staring down that defensive front would feel their knees go weak. Josh Allen would have problems. Joe Burrow would have problems. Lamar Jackson would have problems. CJ Stroud would have problems. Every single one of them would be looking over their shoulder before the snap even happens. Here's the truly nightmarish part of this scenario. Offenses already spend entire weeks of preparation just trying to neutralize Chris Jones. Entire blocking schemes are built around keeping number 95 away from the quarterback. That inevitably creates one-on-one matchups on the edges, and one-on-one situations are exactly the conditions where TJ Watt has made a career out of. Embarrassing offensive tackles. If the quarterback tries to step up in the pocket, Jones is waiting. If they try to escape to the outside, Watt shuts that door instantly. And if they hold the ball even half a second too long, Spagnuolo sends a perfectly timed blitz from a linebacker they didn't even see coming. That's the blueprint for January football. That's the kind of defense that doesn't just win regular season games. It wins conference championships and puts teams in Super Bowls. The Chiefs wouldn't need Watt to record 20-plus sacks and put up a record-breaking season. They'd need him to make one play when everything is on the line. A strip sack on a crucial third down. A forced fumble that flips momentum in a conference final. A single moment of brilliance that changes the entire complexion of a postseason game. That's his value. That's why this rumor has so many people around the NFL quietly terrified. So here's where we land. Chiefs Kingdom. The offseason that started with frustration and playoff heartbreak has somehow transformed into one of the most electric and loaded chapters in recent franchise history. Diggs potentially bringing back that dangerous passing attack. Mahomes recovering faster than anyone dared hope. And the ghost of a TJ Watt trade lurking in the background like a thunderstorm on the horizon. Now I want to hear from you. Would you pull the trigger on a TJ Watt trade? And does Stefon Diggs feel like the right fit for this offense? So drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one.